4 chambers. There's the left atrium, the left ventricle, the right ventricle, and the right atrium. Okay. Now our 2 pacemaker cells, one was at the top of the right atrium, right? This is called the SA node. Okay. The other one was at the base of the right atrium, in between the atria and the ventricle, right? So about right here, and this is called the AV node, right? Also atrioventricular node. Now we also talked about some of the conduction fibers, right? First of all, there were some fibers in between the AV node and the SA node. This was called the internodal Can you guys see that? The internodal fibers. So we have our 2 pacemaker cells, and we have conduction fibers in between those 2 pacemaker cells. Now we also have the bundle of His. The bundle of His, which is also called the AV bundle. And that's going to be in between the right and left ventricles, right? The bundle of His. Then we're going to have some fibers splitting off left and right here. Okay? Fibers splitting to the left and right. And finally, at the base of each of the ventricles, we're going to have the Purkinje fibers. So let's talk about the steps of what happens here. All right. Now the first step is the action potential is initiated in the sinoatrial node or the SA node. And that is going to spread throughout both atria. Okay? So the action potential starts in the SA node, it's going to spread throughout both atria, and then it's going to make its way to the AV node. Now, because we said that there's a delay of the impulse getting to the AV node, just because the AV node is firing a little bit slower, that is going to allow time for the impulse to propagate throughout both atria. Okay? The action potential is then going to leave the AV node and make its way to the bundle of His here. Right? To the bundle of His. Right? And from the bundle of His, it's going to make its way down. So there are bundle branches that's going to the left and bundle branches that's going to the right, because this sort of splits off as it gets to the apex of the heart. Now this impulse is now going to travel up the Purkinje fibers. This is going to go down to the base of the heart and then make its way up from the Purkinje fibers. Okay? Let's talk about that one more time. So step 1, the SA node fires the action potential. Okay? This causes both atria to contract. All right? Step 2, the AV node fires the action potential. Okay, so SA node, AV node. Step 3, the impulse is transferred to the bundle of His. So the bundle of His, right, transmits the action potential along the ventricles. Okay, so SA node to AV node to bundle of His. This is where it's starting to get into the ventricles, but it's only along the middle here. Okay. Step 4 is it's going to branch off on either side of the base of the ventricles. Right, so we have a branching of conduction fibers, right and left ventricle. Okay, everyone still with me? Any questions? All right, and the last step is that the impulse is going to be propagated through the Purkinje fibers and up through the ventricles. Okay, so the impulse transmitted through the Purkinje fibers, right, throughout the ventricles, and the ventricles will contract. Right? And this is very important in allowing the atria to contract first, followed by ventricular contraction. All right? Now, the way that the ventricles contract is that they start that impulse from the base or from the bottom, which is actually called the apex of the heart. So the impulse starts at the bottom of the ventricle and sort of works its way up. The way you would squeeze a tube of toothpaste from the bottom up, that is how the impulse is propagated from the bottom of the ventricle up towards where the valves are. Because you're trying to get that blood out of the ventricle and into the vessel. All right? Okay. Okay, so let's continue on here. These are the steps that we sort of went through just now. We had the action potential being initiated in the SA node, spreading throughout the muscle via the internodal pathway, getting to the AV node, right, where there was that AV nodal delay. Now, I want you to remember the importance of that AV nodal delay. Right? You don't want the ventricles to start contracting prematurely. Right? You want to allow some time for both atria to fully contract, and then the impulse is transmitted. Then to the bundle of His, which is also called the AV bundle. Then it's going to split off into right and left, and then to the Purkinje fibers. Okay, then the ventricles contract. So this series of slides is going to take us through that again, right? And I want you to go through these in detail on your image. So to the SA node, to the AV node, right? To the bundle of His, which is in between both of those ventricles there, to the right and left bundle branches, which is splitting off on either side. Finally, to the Purkinje fibers, which goes through the heart. Right?